Hey everybody, welcome back to the Historian's Wardrobe channel. I'm Mariana, and I'm really excited that you're here with me today. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, follow. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I'd love to hear from you. If you've joined me on this channel before, I'm so glad that you're back. Thanks for continuing to watch and watching me babble on for a long time. This week I am so excited, you guys. I'm so excited about this video. I am actually filming on location. I'm at the Rockwall Historic Society's Bailey House Museum. So the Bailey House is this beautiful historic home. It is a historical fixture in the community. It's been in Rockwall for many years. The Historic Society had this beautiful home donated. So it was moved over here and they restored it, brought it back to its beautiful former glory. Not only is it a museum piece in and of itself, but it's also filled with some wonderful artifacts donated by people in Rockwall area. And so today I get the awesome opportunity of actually getting to explore some really cool historic dresses from the late 19th century and into the 20th century. I am not going to show all of them to you today because you really should come and check out the Bailey House Museum and just the Rockwall Historic Society's museum. There's some really great information, really cool setups, and so I'd love for anybody who's in the Texas area, around Rockwall, Dallas area, you have to check it out because it's a really cool place. So for the month of July, I believe they're opening on July 11th. The Rockwall Historic Society is doing a display on historical fashion and fashion through the years. I'm really excited to get to explore some of these dresses, and one of the dresses in particular, I did some volunteer hours for my bachelor's degree, and I actually had done them working with the museum curator here, and so I got to know a lot about the people that support this area. And as I was working, doing my volunteer hours for school, I actually got to unpack some really cool donated items, and one of these items that I unpacked is actually a beautiful dress that is from the Edwardian period, the late Victorian, early Edwardian. And this is a dress that was donated by someone, and I didn't know as much about like the proper way of handling clothing, like historic clothing and stuff at the time, not compared to like what I know now. But I loved this dress. It really stood out to me because it had some very unique features. And so I am actually going to show you this awesome dress, and we can kind of explore the work of the woman who made this dress, and it was made for a purpose. The interesting thing about this dress that I want to show you is that it is an Edwardian mourning outfit. So the dress itself probably was made by the woman either in her later mourning, or she had it before her time of bereavement. So during a time of bereavement, there were a lot of different rules and regulations according to fashion and what people wore, because you really wanted to portray to the world, you know, your emotional state. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. Women couldn't get married during a mourning period, things like that. So they wanted to make sure that people they understood that you were in mourning, and that, you know, there were certain social restrictions and social obligations, basically. So during the mourning period, men and women, their periods of mourning were different. So, and it also depended upon your relationship to the person who passed. In the case of a woman who's widowed, she was required to be in mourning for 2.5 years, where men were only required to be in mourning for 1 year. So during a woman's stages of mourning, there were 3 different stages of mourning for women. For the first, it was 1 year and 1 day was the first stage. So this stage of mourning is full on mourning, and they all of their clothing and things were made of crepe fabric, black crepe fabric. They would wear black veils. Their fabrics were dull. There was no like iridescence or anything to them. You couldn't wear velvet or fancier fabrics because the dullness of the fabric really showed what stage of the mourning you were in, so people would respect that. And also women who were in full mourning, they didn't really go into social situations. They did not go into funerals. They did not go to weddings. They basically were secluded inside. Stage 2 of mourning was actually, it took place for 9 months, and during that 9 months, the women could actually start to remove certain things that were made with crepe, so they could have, you know, a crepe black dress, but then they could add little details with nicer fabrics like velvet and silk and lace, things like that, different trims, but they would not make a full dress out of that fabric. So you'll see just little additions to a duller fabric. And that is in the second stage of mourning. The third and final stage of mourning lasted for the last 6 to 9 months of a woman's grief period. During the last 6 to 9 months, they could actually bring out all of their old clothes from before their loved one passed away, and they could actually wear those clothes, but then they would have certain restrictions on which colors of those clothing they could wear. Like they could wear white, which is very odd to me, but they could wear white, but they would wear lots of violet, purples, mauve, navy, grays, lots of those kinds of colors. They had to be more muted, more subdued. So those kinds of colors were what ladies would wear during that third stage. And then they would have little, you know, accessories and things, sometimes that were still in black. And they could continue to wear black if they wish. For instance, Queen Victoria. When Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert, passed away, she went into full mourning. She mourned for so long. It was part of the Victorian fashion. And it's very interesting to me, especially with the fascination that the Victorian period had with death. And so kind of emulating that in their fashion choices kind of shows that even more. So Queen Victoria actually, when Prince Albert passed away, she ordered all of her ladies in waiting and everyone under the royal roof was required to be in full mourning. Women and men have worn black for mourning, and there were eras where other colors such as gray and dark blue, those were also mourning colors, but Queen Victoria really made black the ultimate mourning color to wear. I know that the tone of this video is a little morbid, a little sad, but it is a really important part of fashion history because mourning was a very important part of 19th century fashion. Before I touch this dress, I need to put on my gloves. So the reason we're using gloves, your hands have oils that you do not want getting on this fabric because it may not show up now, but 10 years down the line, you will be able to see those additions. So this dress was donated by a wonderful lady in the community here in Rockwall, Texas. This dress is a perfect navy blue silk, and a lot of aspects of this dress were hand sewn, but there was a lot that was machine sewn, which makes sense because I did have machines at the time. Okay, so there were a lot of different things at this time that I would have used for making a dress like this, but a lot of it you can tell is machine stitched, like the hem. So on this look, so this is the bonnet and cap that is a part of the whole dress that the owner had donated. These are little black silk additions to a much more muted, I believe it's knitted cap. And she did have these silk bows or ribbon that she added. And those things tell me that it was from the second stage of mourning. So that's why we see this silk. She may have had more of a crepe fabric and then added this later, because it is possible that it was used during full mourning, but she also would have had a veil or some sort of shawl and thing around her head. Okay, and then this beautiful dress is this beautiful brocade. It's a silk black brocade with a really cool pattern on it. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is another thing that tells me it's from the second stage of mourning, because of, you know, it having more of a pattern to it. It is a prettier fabric. Having this added trim on here is also a sign that it was a second stage of mourning. But this dress is absolutely amazing, because these sleeves, so they have the Edwardian poof, but she comes to a point here on the sleeve, which I think is absolutely gorgeous. And then it has a little flare at the bottom of the sleeve. I so badly want to try and recreate my own version of this dress, because it is just phenomenal. We can see the gathering that happened here, and these buttons, they're pinned, but they're fancier buttons that were on it. It's had some additions just from the historians here at the museum, but these buttons are very similar to the original ones on the dress. Okay, so when we look at these original buttons, they're so cool. They kind of have that tortoise shell look. They're really pretty. They have metal on the back of the button, so it is resting, and there's some of that rest on the dress. But it's just so pretty. And the edges of this were machine stitched. Okay, there. Other wonderfully beautiful aspect of this gown. Now, looking at the skirt. So when we look at the skirt, there's actually this really cool little flap thing that she did in the front. Not totally sure how she did it. It looks like it was another piece added on in the middle, but it comes down. It's got these two that come, it's like one piece was cut, it comes down, makes this little loop thing, not loop, it makes this like U here, then comes back and attaches with buttons on the sides. And this dress is actually, when I looked inside of it originally, this dress was not lined other than in the sleeves. On this bottom part of the sleeve, that was the only area that was lined. And even the hem on this is machine stitched. So you really only see whip stitching, hand stitching on the inside of the sleeves. So there's actually no lining on the inside of the bodice, which is very weird, but for some reason it worked. And there are a lot of staining just from the conditions that this was probably stored in. And this skirt does detach from the bodice. In the front it does anyway. No, it does in the back too. Okay. There is some damage to the pit stains, and the dressmaker did put some just linen or cotton lining on the inside of the pits, because that's how ladies tried to protect their dresses. Makes them last longer as well, because then they can just replace that lining. Another addition to this, the skirt of this dress that I think is a very interesting choice, is she had this weird, it was like, it's an opening, but she kept this flap, because it opens here on the side, which were probably a pocket or something in the petticoat that went under this, and also make it easier to get off. But this weird flap, it's only on the right side of the dress. It's not on the left side at all, which is really interesting. And the hem looks like my hems. They're a little bit messy. I don't want to mess up the work that Carolyn did on this, but it's beautiful. I love this dress. And in the future, you'll probably see me kind of try my hand at remaking it in obviously my size, because this is made for 6th grade me. So you definitely want to come to the Rockwall Historic Society's museum and check this dress out, because I can honestly say I've never seen a dress like this. It is incredibly unique, absolutely beautiful. So if you are in Texas, in the Dallas metro area, come out to Rockwall, because this is such a cool item to see. It's such an important piece of fashion history. Okay, so I showed you this beautiful Edwardian dress that the Rockwall Historic Society has graciously allowed me to look at, and I love it. And very important, I used my gloves. So make sure you use gloves when you handle these dresses, because they're super fragile. And we want to make sure that they're taken care of and they're protected for future generations to get to admire and look at. I am so thankful that all of you joined me for this video today. I hope that you learned a little something, that it was somewhat interesting. If you like the content that you saw today and you want to see more, please hit subscribe below. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at The Historian's Wardrobe. And I know that there are a lot of people who know way more than I do. So I'd love to hear and learn some new things if you know them. So please do share. This has been the Historian's Wardrobe channel. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time. Bye.